Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Rec Advisory Board meeting to order. We don't have any public comment unless, Greg, are you public today?
No, I thought I'd stand today because I've been sitting too much.
That's
today.
good. All right. And we need you up there anyway, so
Yeah.
that's good. What we're going to do, because we had to table them last time, is I'm not sure if everybody had the opportunity to take a look at the minutes from the May 2nd meeting. Gosh, that was a long time ago. And the August 29th meeting. If we were all able to review them, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from May 2nd, 2023.
I'll motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All right, the minutes from the May 2nd, 2023 meeting are approved. I will also entertain a motion to approve the August 29th.
Well, wait.
Can everyone just make sure to bring their microphones to their mouths?
Oh, they're so at attention.
Thank you, Will.
Ma. Never been told I wasn't loud enough before.
Avoiding that.
That's a first.
I would move to approve the August minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion on those those minutes? No? All those in favor to approve those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, say nay. All right, minutes for the August 29th meeting have been also approved. Thank you for getting those out to us, Greg. We are going to start out this meeting with recaps. So, Greg, if you'd like to jump in, or Caroline or Dave on
I'll
powder
start
keg.
to keep it. We got to try to keep it under 5 minutes for each of these.
Please, yes.
Powder keg tickets are selling fast. We have approximately 1,452 sold. So we're expecting a big rush in the next week and a half. So get your tickets now. VIP has sold out.
Good. How many?
So 500.
Awesome.
So that is the one great thing. And we have a new sponsor. Meredith Savings Bank is our premium sponsor. They haven't even built here in Exeter yet, but they're sponsoring the powder keg. We have some great sponsors. Northeast Credit Union is our underwriter. Seacoast Volkswagen is our stage sponsor. Newburyport Bank is our glass sponsor, and
New Hampshire Magazine.
New Hampshire Magazine, if you've gotten your latest issue of New Hampshire Magazine, the beer issue, there's an ad in it. There was an ad in August as well. And Casella is our Kids Zone trash sponsor as well. I mean, it's a mix. So they'll be providing free trash receptacles and hauling them away for free for us this year, plus some fun games with Casella written all over it. So we're very happy with that. We have 60 brands in the brewery drink department. We have 10 restaurants to give out chili, so we have lots of chili this year. And we have, SK Lawyers is our water sponsor. I can't forget them as well.
Yep.
So we have a lot of great sponsors. It's going to be a great time. Get your tickets. Volunteers in the afternoon shift are still available.
Yep.
So
And much
reach out to
needed.
anyone in the Parks and Rec.
Awesome, thank you. Always a good time, thank you. Fall soccer update, Caroline.
Yes, did you want me to stand up there?
No, go ahead.
Does this sing?
Oh, it's on.
Sorry. So soccer went really well. Registration was massive this year, way larger than the spring. So we had 280 kids total for 28 teams and generated $16,500 in revenue. So that was really great.
Fantastic.
And yeah, that's kind of my soccer update.
Yeah,
Awesome.
short and sweet.
Caroline, how many kids?
280.
280.
Thank you.
What are the age ranges for soccer?
2 to 8.
Okay.
Don't, but we can share.
There's a slight overlap, Dan, between EYSA and our program. Those that want a more competitive go to EYSA. Those that are just dipping their toe into soccer.
That's what I thought. I couldn't remember what the
Yep.
oldest that we took was, if it was 8 or.
But we're thrilled to have 28 teams. I mean, it makes the rec park very busy.
And the coaches have been really engaged, and we've been practicing and had games on those fields, and it's been awesome to see. You know, sometimes it can be a shoot as to what you get. They're super engaged and been awesome with the kids. It's been really fun to watch.
I actually had to turn coaches away this year,
That's
which
awesome.
was
Great
amazing.
problem.
Like I had none 2 weeks before the season, and then put out like a big push and had an overwhelming response.
Well, you
so
got good ones.
it was very exciting. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great.
And kudos to Caroline. We got a few emails from coaches saying her professionalism, her communication have all been key to a successful season so far.
Awesome. Thank you, Caroline. Senior trips, Mr. Toby.
So trips continue to be very popular. We still have some openings for a few, and we're continuing to add trips almost weekly right now. We do have 2 overnight trips for 2024. We're partnering with Colette Travel. The first one is Discover South Dakota, and that is in June 7th to the 13th, 2024. And then we are doing the European Christmas markets, December 6th through the 14th of 2024 as well.
Where's that?
So they're going to be, is that?
I think it's Germany, Vienna,
Yeah.
and Prague, maybe.
Yeah. We're having a travel presentation on both of those as well. There's been a lot of questions and conversations, and we have a lot of information on our website right now, but Colette is going to be joining us on October 18th in the Senior Center at 2:30 to answer any questions, help with registrations, things like that. So really excited about that. I believe Exeter TV will be there to record as well for anyone who can't join. So yeah, trips continue to be very popular. Other than that, programming, we have a new program we're really excited about, and there's only 2 spots left, and that's Aqua Zumba. We're partnering with Langdon Place of Exeter. They recently had some renovations at their indoor pool, and Courtney will be the instructor for that. She's our instructor in the summer at our outdoor pool, so we're really excited to have an indoor aquatic program for Exeter seniors for the first time.
Is that public or just for Langdon Place residents?
It's for Exeter seniors,
Awesome.
residents, and it's actually, so the residents at Langdon Place, they have aquatic programming, and Langdon Place was so generous. I wanted to make sure that their residents had first choices, and they were like, they're going to be doing their own programming like at separate times, so this is all spots were for Exeter senior residents.
Well, thank you, Langdon Place.
Yeah, thank you. Tomorrow we have a sold-out guided history walk of downtown Exeter. It's our second year doing it with the American Independence Museum. 30 spots, filled up very fast and started a wait list. So we're working with them on possibly doing a second walk in the fall or some other programming with them as well. With all the history in Exeter, it's just a very high demand program that people want to do, and it's free, so we're really excited to do that again, and second year in a row with really good weather, so couldn't ask for more. We have a lot of Halloween programs and events this year, so we're really getting in the spirit. We have the Halloween Legends and Myths, and that is going to be on October 25th. It's a free program, 10 a.m. till noon in the town hall. And then later that week on Friday, we have the, I don't want to get it wrong, Midnight at the Masquerade, Murder Mystery Dinner. Caroline's been working really hard on that, coordinating everything. And then also on that night is the Kids Night Out. So, parents can go across to the town hall, have a nice meal and some entertainment, and then we'll have some camp staff watching their kids, and they'll be showing a movie as well and doing some games and crafts and stuff like that. So really getting into the Halloween spirit this year. We're doing a explore Squamscott River, so we're using our kayaks to bring people out to explore the river, and there's only a few more spots on that. I think there's like 16 people registered, so that should be a good time. And then last I just want to mention is our senior council has been meeting up again. I want to say we're up to like 8 residents on the board right now. Would really like some gentlemen to join, but we have a good mix of residents, and right now, other than working on like different programs and stuff, we are moving forward with the age-friendly communities initiatives. So just evaluating the senior resource guide that we published about almost a year now, and we'll probably be putting out a survey to gain feedback on how helpful that has been, and just moving forward with that. That's all I have on programming.
Awesome. That's a lot. Good job. Thank you, Dave.
May I have a question?
Sure, of course.
Dave, could you expand on the senior council? What's their purpose?
Yeah, so it's, they operate under the Rec Advisory Board, and it's really just a group of residents to advocate for seniors and, senior programs and different services and things like that. I would say that's kind of like what it is in a nutshell. It's just good to, get a group together like that and kind of discuss different issues and opportunities.
And who do they get a hold of? The rec department?
Yeah, rec department
Okay.
or myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Is the midnight masquerade 85 per person?
Yes, it includes a 3-course meal, and it's a fundraiser for our youth program scholarships.
I think my wife and I need to have a date.
Yeah.
Excellent. I would love to see all of you there.
And we want people to dress up.
Yes, I want people to get into it.
Yeah, the art gallery will be open that day as well, so, that night, so we'll hopefully incorporate something in the whole building and play a giant game of Clue.
Yes.
We did it.
It's going to be really fun.
We have a couple sponsors right now.
Kennebunk
We've
Savings.
got, Kennebunk Savings Bank, Building Block Commons, and then we just got the new one.
The Monahan
Monahan.
Company,
Yes.
the Gateway at Exeter is sponsoring this, so we're very happy with that.
Any other questions or comments, guys? All right, thank you for the update.
Steph, could we move the field rental to the end that way? Because
Yeah, I
that,
think
I
that's
think,
a
is
good
a
idea.
longer discussion than the rest of them.
I think it's a great idea. Do we have to vote on that to do that, to move it, or you just go ahead
You
and
can
do
just-
that? Let's go ahead and shift that down. I think it's a good idea. Greg, you want to take tennis court repair update?
Yeah, I want to give everyone an update. As you all know, we shut down the tennis courts, September 8th, and started to renovate them. They had developed cracks, and Bob had known. They had patches on them that had become raised. And what was happening, and we've discovered now more, and I'll go into detail, the water shed off of the lower courts and the soccer fields are adversely affecting the conditions of the tennis courts. Because back in the 1970s, they didn't think about putting any kind of drainage in. It's just a swale. We witnessed it when some of those heavy downpours, literally just rivers running at it. So we've contracted with a paving company. When they attempted to do the first paving, they encountered, if you remember a couple weeks back, it became black as night on that Friday. So it adversely affected their paving conditions, and we basically said that the paving needs to be redone, and they're like, yep, totally get it. And so they come back in, they started tearing it up today. They saw cut it 2 weeks ago when Hurricane Lee brushed us. So we're gonna have a cleaner cut. We have a contractor in New England tennis court resurfacing to come in after the fact and patch them all together. We can't afford to resurface the entire thing because, as you remember, 5 years ago, we resurfaced all 3 courts for a little under $40,000. You can guess what happened after COVID. All of those prices skyrocketed. So we're doing as best as I can, but again, just like our summer, the rain has really affected us. The paving company was apprehensive about even coming in to do the work, and they have caused a little bit of damage on the fields that is fixable, but we got to get it done because we're running out of a window to resurface them with the paint, the acrylic paint that goes on there. But in our discovery, when we took up the pavement, one of the things we discovered is 20 years ago when they repaved the tennis courts, they didn't mill it as they should have. So we literally can see now, and there's a crack in front of you. I took a picture. The crack underneath wasn't milled. You can actually not in that picture, but there's another one where you can see the tennis court line from over God knows what time when they painted it. So that is another factor in the cracking. The New England tennis court said if we put drainage in, we should be good, but it is a patch, 5 to 10 years. So that's something that will be going in the CIP eventually to need to be rebuilt sooner rather than later, what year we're talking about. But the one thing that we're really looking at is when we go to do that project, part of it will have to be putting in a temporary service road to the back portion of that property so it doesn't affect the playing surfaces. Because when you put a 20,000 pound dump truck on a soccer field, it isn't good. So we can work around it this year, but in the future when we do that, that's something, and it may be something that we want to permanently just put in for medical reasons.
Sure.
Yeah.
Could that come from the back entrance and run along the tree line?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Come back entrance, go down the hill
Like
along the
behind the
tree
pool
line,
type
so
of
it's
thing?
kind of hidden. And then you literally could gravel it and loam it and seed it and just mark it so we know it's there.
Yeah.
But it grows in and you don't really know it. We'd maintain it and mow it.
Right.
That's about it.
And we
So-
already had that assessed too, to have that put back there as far as space and everything when we.
Yeah, no, yeah, we
So
can
that's-
easily fit a
yeah.
road, but
Yeah.
we just definitely emphasize it's just a service or medical
Yeah,
emergencies.
that's a
The
good
gate
idea.
will remain closed, the wayside, but it's something in the future that we're gonna, because it is a difficult site to
Mm-hmm.
get into.
Yeah.
Like my park staff and I, we looked at it every single angle, like, well, we could take out this and this and this, but then it's still, you have a hill to traverse, so, or you can come in the backside, and depending on what we discover, if we even expand the courts down the line to add more pickleball courts, it would make sense because you're going to have heavy machinery going in and out. So it's not ideal that but we're fingers crossed we can pave on Tuesday of next week, resurface in early November and put the nets back up for the remainder of November and December. And we're looking to take them down now in January and February just to lessen the load on there, because one of the things that was brought to our attention is snow weight on a tennis net actually does affect and pull them in. So we'd always kept them up because of COVID, and now we got to get back into that routine of taking them down and putting them back up. It'll just prolong the life of the net anyways.
Question for you.
Sure.
When they paved and recognized the weather obviously did some destruction to the paving, they had to re-pull that. Did we have to accrue that cost, or was that, okay?
Nope.
All right, thanks. That's good information.
The resurfacing company, is it the same painting the lines and the color of the court? Is it the same company who had originally done the work?
No, they were not available.
So I mentioned this. So Portsmouth just had their pickleball and tennis courts resurfaced, and they were not able to color match because it's not the same brand. So you just want to be proactive on that and asking them to color match, because they painted and we had them repaint and it still wasn't a color match, but because it's not the same product, it's not the same
Yep.
company. But it's good to kind of put that out there that they should try as hard as they can to color match, because you can tell. And then your courts don't look as good because there's
Yeah.
two different greens or two different white lines or two different, you know.
Yeah, and that's our one concern, but I no matter, because we can't paint the entire thing.
Because you can't do the whole thing. It's like these
it's not
spot
going to be a
treatment.
perfect match. Even when we
Yeah.
had Vermont Systems do it in patches,
Yeah.
it wasn't exactly the same, and you could
Yeah.
always see where they redid the cracks and everything. So that's our one thing is
Yeah.
people need to realize that we're doing this on a bare bones budget. Like
Yeah.
I have only $28,000 left in the park improvement fund. We're going to use some revolving fund money, very little, but the quote came in at $81,000 to do the lower courts, and I don't have that in our revolving fund. If some benefactor is listening to this now and wants to write a check for $81,000, I would take it.
The back surface road which I think we discussed way back when we were discussing to make the rec park have a community center, we talked about having an access road. That is considered perhaps for emergency personnel. Is there any way to access funds to create that road that would come from another budget besides the rec, like, an emergency services fund or the fire department money or anything like that.
Unfortunately, all the budgets are tapped out right now, so it's a tough budget season for the town.
Yeah, I just know sometimes emergency services get to tap into some other dollars, like emergency preparedness money or
It would be, I
other
think it'd be hard
sources.
to justify it. Like, they can
Yeah.
still, emergency personnel can still get down there. I'm talking, it's really heavy machinery when we push come to shove, and so you compare apples to oranges, and they'd be like, well,
Got it.
is Steph can attest that we did pull an ambulance onto Hampton Road from 10 Hampton Road for a child that had been hurt on a soccer game. It was exactly why we got 10
Yeah,
Hampton
it was
Road,
great.
is to have that access on there. It's a slippery, yeah.
Okay.
I know where you're going, but
Could be
it's something down the
potentially
line when
next
we
year,
actually
even next year,
go.
potentially when the budget's
Yeah.
a little leaner than
Yeah.
what it is this year, might be something, because it is super important, and maybe
Yeah.
it gives us the time, I agree, to dig, because hopefully, there might be something that we could pull from.
And when push comes to shove, if we stage it correctly, because we know we have planned a playground coming, we have the tennis courts that need to be redone, we have the bathhouse that we got the facility assessment and basically said,
Blow it up.
yeah, it's barely like hanging on by a thread. If we stage it properly, LWCF, and it being an LWCF property, we can chip away at, and because we're going to be hitting accessibility, we're going to be hitting really updating the facilities, and that's what they've done. LWCF has supported a ski lodge in Wolfboro, and the name escapes me, the little ski lodge they have. They built a new one there with LWCF. So we can, if we parlay it correctly, but it would definitely need to be lined up with the select board and the BRC that this is what we're going to be going after. And it's going to be a long road, of course, very competitive, but LWCF is flush with money, and they are very excited to there's not many, again, in this grant round. So they're looking for projects. So I'm hoping we can get some funding in 2024.
Greg, so as I understand, we're redoing the cracks.
Yep.
But are we just, is it a Band-Aid approach to just painting certain lines? I'm not quite sure.
It is a Band-Aid approach. There were more cracks than we originally had estimated, because the one thing that hid the cracks, we knew some of the patches were coming up, and because of the groundwater infiltration, but there was a lot of patches on there that you really didn't see. And so once we started getting into it and milling it and cutting it, there's a crack that almost goes right down the middle from post to post, the lengthwise. And then there's three, I call them three branches coming from the hillside of one, and then there's one branch going, or two branches going to the hillside, like in the backside. So it's a big spider web. So, but at least it'll be a flat surface. It'll be a playable surface. There'll be no tripping hazards. Will it be pretty? Not really, but at least it'll be functional.
Okay, I mean, will you do painted lines, or will we retape?
Painted lines.
Paint, okay.
Yep, yeah, it's acrylic paint. It's a 3-step process. I'm actually going to be putting a memo and going to the board to get approval just to sign the contract with New England courts. It's first an acrylic filler that will smooth everything out, fill in all the cracks where the saw marks were, and then it's 2 layers of paint and then matching all the lines. And so it'll be nice and functional again, and people can have their courts back. And the paving company understands, and they apologize. They're like, for them, it's not fun when they have to come back and redo it. But 2, it's also they're cognizant of how popular they are, and the rain conditions are just not helping us move forward and very fast. So fingers crossed that we go on a dry spell in the next 2-3 weeks.
How long do they anticipate, or how long do they guarantee if they do the acrylic fill before we have
Any
to
of those
redo it
will
again?
give a 1-year warranty.
Oh, that's it?
That's
Okay.
it. Because of knowing that there's drainage issues. So,
Okay.
I mean, looking at big picture, there's things that we'll discuss when it gets to that point.
Right.
Like, do we re-asphalt, or do we do what's called post-intention concrete? Mike may know that term better than I do. Do you reconfigure how the courts are laid out? Do we keep them where they are? I mean, these are all things where it's such a difficult site I think you keep at least the upper courts, but do you reconfigure the lower courts to accommodate more? It's going to be a challenge no matter what we do, but
Yeah.
it's not going to be cheap. Pavement's expensive, concrete's expensive, labor's expensive.
Yeah, drainage mitigation.
Drainage mitigation, new fencing. We know at least the updated quote I got from fencing, just the courts were $118,000. That's just new fencing, and it's needed because they're heaving everywhere. Now they don't put them in concrete; they drive them below the frost line, so it gives that stability. I mean, I could go on the maintenance nightmare that we've inherited.
Yeah.
Tree work that we just completed, and if we expand further back, more tree work. I don't know how far back we want to go, but then the drainage is the big thing. And he said you'll continue to have cracks, and you'll have to continue to fill the cracks to maintain a proper playing surface.
I don't expect you to know this, but I'd be curious to know the legal aspect between 101 and the rec park towards the tennis courts, as far as the possibility of having some access put in there, call it emergency access,
No, that's a
for an ambulance or a fire truck, which could also be used for a dump truck.
They have
that is
them
a
off the
steep
highway,
embankment.
and it's-
That's the only thing, and there is a sound barrier wall, but I think that starts further
I think
towards
it's
Wayside.
further down.
But that's something to talk about. But I don't know if the
It's a
state-
long
yeah.
shot, but
It's a good question. I can run it by.
An easement through there, or where the property line is, or
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, but I would hate to cut a swath right to 101 because then it just sets up a tunnel for noise.
Yeah, the noise.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. It's like, all right,
Yeah.
we can replant it. I'm fully supportive of replanting the trees, but I mean, we're not going to solve it this year, next year. It's a couple years down the line. Let's get it fixed to properly, and that way we can move forward with 8 healthy courts and no tripping hazards. Because he did warn and that we did the right thing by milling out the patch, because it's a fiberglass patch that is glued to the asphalt, and if you ripped it up by hand, you're still ripping up asphalt. So. And it's very labor consuming. He said if he had done it himself in-house, it would have been a 2-week process, and you can only imagine what that cost would have been with his staff there. So at least here, it's a little more defined, and we'll get it right. That's the one thing. I just want people to know we're going to make an announcement. We're going to push it out public, like it's been delayed because of the weather and other mitigating factors, but we are trying desperately to open them back up. The nice thing is we do have a good report on usage at the high school. Coach Ball and Rusty Lister were very generous. We have our tennis in the parks program was moved up there temporarily, and what our reports are is they're just as busy, so people are finding an alternative to the lower courts for now, and the upper courts. Just today, when walking it this afternoon before the meeting, both pickleball courts were being used, both tennis courts were being used. Someone was playing basketball. You had 4 or 5 soccer teams playing. I mean, the place was jamming. So it's a good thing to have up there. And hopefully, again, any benefactors here in town that want to donate to the Parks and Rec, we're happy to take a nice, generous donation to a facility fund, if we could. But it's not going to be cheap. And Steph, I think Caroline had pulled the numbers. Bryn had asked what the numbers were pickleball and what was the numbers for tennis.
Yeah.
And
Yep, so we had 256 registered pickleball players. Now, a lot of those kind of played at different times throughout the day, different weeks. We also had terrible weather, so it wasn't, I think, the best summer for pickleball, but it was so awesome, Bob. I think I saw you almost every single day out playing on the upper courts on the new nets out there. So that was really cool to see those used all the time.
That's unique registrants? 256?
Yep, 256 unique folks. So that generated $3,800 in revenue. And then we had 69 folks register for our brand new drop-in tennis program. So that was really awesome. And they would show up and just every court full. So
Nice.
That was good. And that generated just over $1,000 in revenue.
Great job, you guys.
Yeah. And we are going to reconfigure the programs a little bit to better accommodate more and to keep to Dan's point of keeping the courts open 51% of the time. So we don't have the bandwidth to program it all the time anyways. So, but we have great youth instructors. We have, he's also our adult instructor as well for tennis. Brian, Coach Brian from USTA, Dover High varsity coach. But I mean, so many people want to play sports out there, and it's just awesome. We're very thrilled about it.
Especially in a wet season like this. You guys have done awesome. You've done a great job. Thank you.
If I may, I don't know if it maybe next month's agenda to talk about a pickleball tennis program, or we could talk about it now. I had some ideas for the program for next year, but I think it'd probably be better for next month.
We can definitely.
There's a lot here.
To make sure we have that
Or
on the
Bob,
agenda next time.
come in and sit with us, and
Okay.
we would love to listen to you. And
Okay.
then we can present it to the board in general after we.
Oh, that's a good idea, sure. Yeah, because I had some comments from other players about this year's program and how we can look at being,
We're always
more
trying to
accommodating.
streamline things,
Yeah.
make it more
Okay.
enjoyable and user-friendly.
This was your first summer taking registrations for pickleball, right?
No, we've been doing it for the last couple of years. It's the first summer for tennis. This is the first summer we limited it, but after doing an analysis, we could have accommodated a lot more. We were apprehensive, but they definitely do not all play at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's good, and we're going to figure out a way to better streamline it that we know, all right, we have so many at 7 to 8, so many at 9 to 10. So, I mean, we want people to come and join and feel free, but at the same time, we want to make sure it's well controlled, but not as strict as we were this year, per se.
It's also the rainiest summer in the history of New Hampshire.
And when it
It'd be hard
wasn't
to
raining, there was smoke from the Canadian wildfires.
It'd just be hard to model anything after this summer.
Yeah, no, our pool program struggled with attendance.
Certainly field mix.
And field mix.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, there's nowhere to go but up, right?
I mean, I don't want to go into drought, but moderate rain is
Right.
I'm happy with that. And if rain at night and just a little bit.
Yeah. At night, a little bit.
Yeah.
Make that happen.
Yes.
We'll put our requests in.
Yes.
We'll see what we can do for it.
Your motion for that?
Yeah, make a motion for that. Anything else on the tennis court repairs? Any more questions?
I just wanted to add, I know you all approved the purchase of those 2 additional semi-permanent nets, and the second those went up, they were just used constantly. I was at camp all summer, and it was so awesome to see them just packed, all 4 of the pickleball nets being used, and people rotating in and playing. So that was just really awesome. So
I saw it tonight.
Yeah.
It was it looked like 4 dads and their kids.
Oh, that's
and they were rotating in and out and playing pickleball, and it was really cute. And some of the kids were just hitting the balls, seeing if they could hit it over the net or over the fence. So it was just ding, I threw it back to them, hey, so it was really nice. And again, the tennis people, talking to our contact at USTA in New England, tennis is definitely seeing a renaissance, and it is exploding, especially with Coco winning the U.S. Open. A lot of young tennis players are coming out now to play. So kudos to tennis and the resiliency of tennis.
Sweet.
awesome. All right, guys, if there are any more questions, discussion on that? Caroline, you went over the murder mystery. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Yes, I just wanted to give a brief event rundown. We've got a lot going on this month, so I shared this packet with you all that kind of has our October calendar of events, and then behind it each has a flyer for our upcoming events. So first off, we have Powder Keg, which is on October 7th. Then we have the Halloween parade and downtown trick or treat. So that's on October 21st this year, so a week earlier than we've done it in the past, but that gives us a great opportunity. One, we can have a rain date if it does rain. Two, we are not competing with other larger towns like Portsmouth that draws in a lot of folks, Newmarket, etc. So people can get more Halloween and more candy for their kids.
And we have a new parade route.
We do have a new parade route.
Last year there was some snafus, so David and I worked with Lieutenant West. Officer West, that's over at the PD, and we came up with a new route. So this year, instead of in the past, if anyone remembers, we went up Spring Street the wrong way, Tan Lane the wrong way. So now we're going to go left out of the Swayze Parkway, right onto Center Street, right down Spring Street the correct way. So now the cops don't have to fight traffic going the opposite direction. Right on Spring Street onto Water Street back into the Parkway. So it's a nice little shorter loop.
Yeah.
It's more compact, and the police are very happy because it's like they really hated trying to stop traffic going the wrong way on Tan Lane, and that we inherited that parade route. So I was in David's office, and we're like, we need to change this route to make it easier, because Tim Miles, who is the head of the band, like, he's a big supporter of the Parks and Rec, obviously, and we were concerned with the safety of the participants in the parade, and as well as the band. So we wanted to make it as safe as possible. But we also, if you remember, the Halloween parade's been rained out 2 of the last 4 years, and people yell at us. How dare you? It's like, so we wanted that opportunity to be able to pivot at least and say, hey, you go. And so, and to Bryn's point, I've already let the police know that we'll need a backup plan in case it rains. So Bryn we presented at Caroline's class, and she's like, parades are hard to reschedule. So I took it upon myself and reached out to him and said, yeah, just in case, FYI, could you, and we can always call it off.
That's great.
Yep.
And it looks like, because the question always comes up, so anybody that is watching or paying attention, Halloween is actually on Halloween this year, trick or treat. Everybody always asks for that date. Sometimes it changes 4 to 7.
Yes, that is correct. The townwide trick or treat is on Halloween, Tuesday, October 31st from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Perfect.
Back to the parade on October 21st. The costume judging will start at 10:30, and we are looking for costume judges if anyone feels like volunteering at a very cute event. We also strongly encourage pet costumes. So if you have a dog or a cat or a duck, dress it up.
Is that a separate category, or is that
It is.
thrown right in with the kids?
I want to know who has a duck.
I hope to see one.
Is the 21st a Saturday?
It is, yes.
I'll volunteer to judge.
Thank you.
Yay! If I don't
And
have
I'm not
soccer, I
bringing
will
my
as well.
You got to dress up too.
Negative.
Oh, yes, you do. If we don't have soccer
were
that
so
date, I'll look and
adamant.
say if we don't have soccer, I
It
will as
does
well.
start early, so you can do the judging and then vamonos out
one
of
with
there. Go ahead.
Then David talked about the Halloween legends and myths. That'll be at Town Hall from 10 to 12. That's a residents-only event. It is free. So we're very excited to bring in the guest speaker for that to present on all different kinds of ghosts and ghouls and witches and legends. So that'll be really fun. And then we touched on it briefly earlier, Midnight at the Masquerade. That's our big murder mystery dinner. All the proceeds from this event are going towards our youth program scholarships. We have seen, at least in summer camp this year, we saw an increased need for scholarships. So we do want to be able to offer more to more families in need here in Exeter. So tickets are $85 a person. It's on Friday, October 27th from 7 to 10 p.m. There's an acting troupe coming up from Boston, and it's going to be a big live action game of Clue. They're an improv troupe. It's going to be really fun. They're going to interact with the crowd. You can trade clues and buy. They give you like Monopoly money, so you can bribe people for hints. So there's going to be a buffet dinner, a cash bar, And then we're also, that same night, we're doing the Halloween Kids Night Out. So if parents wanted to come to the murder mystery dinner, they can also drop their kids off with our summer adventure camp staff for a fun kids night out. We'll be showing Coco, doing some crafts, games, and just having a good time.
Very smart.
That's fantastic, thank you. Any questions, guys? No? Awesome, thank you, this is fantastic. Robot mowers.
Yes, I'm
Right.
excited.
All night for this.
I am excited about this. That's one of the things. I had the privilege to go to the Cape 2 weeks ago to go to the New England Parks Association conference, where they presented on robot mowers in municipalities, how it's a growing trend nationally. Because of the staffing shortages that all municipalities have been experiencing, they're trying to think outside the box. A lot of universities and professional teams have been already using these type of robots. Fenway Park, it has the exact same robot that we're looking at as well. So we had the AOS of New England, it's Automated Outdoor Solutions out of Dover, Mass, come up on Friday and give us, Caroline and I, a demo along with our parks guys. So what we're looking at, because it's a tough budget season as well, the town manager has supported us increasing some contracted services, but it still leaves us a little deficit on trying to get everything done. So one of the solutions that we're looking at is the Husqvarna Siona. I can't pronounce it. I'll send out the link, but it's a very fascinating thing. So basically, it's a Roomba for your athletic fields. It cuts it every night, a minute, microscopic, so it'll never need to be, it can go in the rain, it can go at night, it mows, and it's no louder than you and I talking outside a window.
It's like a robot Roomba.
And it does, and you can you literally set the GPS coordinates. You can pin where you want. You can pin a no mow zone. For instance, at the rec park, we're not going to have it go over the infield, so you're going to make that no mow, and it'll turn around. It'll mow it. This unit can mow up to 16 acres in a day. It has 5 cutting blades on it. Fenway Park does use it as a nightly thing. They have it going all night, and then they actually mow it to put the stripes in the next day. You don't actually know that. So it was fascinating. We're still working on pricing with them, but I think it could allow us to free up at least 16 hours per staff member to be able to have it if we have it at the rec park and possibly Brickyard.
How close can it get to like fence lines?
Very
do you
close.
have to still string trim, or?
We will still need to string trim, but at the same time, if it's only an hour of string trimming instead of 4 or 5 hours of mowing and string trimming, that saves up quite a bit.
Yeah.
We will still have to mow a little bit at the rec park, the pool area in front. Brickyard being the greatest one, is it's going to pretty much go right up to the fence and go around things. So we're still working on things. There's several different mower types that they've demoed for us, so we're trying to find what the best solution is at our current budget. And we're going to test it as a pilot and see if it's something that the town wants to invest in future, have different. You can have permanent mowers at different locations, or you can have what they call ones that you carry with you. And the nice thing is they all have cameras, they all have GPS, they all have alarms. So you can't, until you actually actively disable it from your app, you can't pick it up. And I'll send out the video. I walked in front of it, it's like, hello there, mowing in progress, please move aside. And it stops at your feet. It won't continue. And the one we're looking at will identify the soccer goal. So it has 16 different sensors. So it pulls up and it says, all right. And the camera is the most important thing, because even if someone were to vandalize it, if Mike walked up and went to try to grab it, I'd take a picture of him and put it to the cloud. So now we have who actually messed with it and everything. So it's a possible solution we're looking at. Just to free up, because one of the things we're really struggling on all the mowing, because with the wet weather we've had this summer, the grass grew every day, and it was hard to keep up. But there's also deferred maintenance that we don't have time to do. One of the things that we really want to focus on is if we know there's a broken bench, address that broken bench before someone gets hurt or before it totally dissolves. Or if we're having problems with the tennis courts or a tennis net, we can go address it. Playground inspections should be done weekly, if not daily. So I mean, we're trying to figure out ways to best maximize our time for our parks guys, and they're very open. And the one thing that was questioned at the conference was, well, you're putting people out of jobs. No, you're actually increasing jobs. And what they're seeing, the AOS started out of Illinois in their park districts, is they're seeing more of the atypical parks guys coming out to be a robot, they call it engineer, and take the robots from site to site mowing. Because now Joe, the owner of it, said, when a college student, fresh out of college, said, hey, I heard you have robot mowers. I have this app. I downloaded it already. This is awesome. This is cool. Like, that's already they're already involved. And it's almost like, for this generation of kids growing up, it's almost like playing a video game. You're literally using your phone to deal with things. So it'll be fascinating. We are going to have them come up do another demo with the big mower. So once I have a date, I'll invite anyone that wants to attend if you're available to see it, or we'll record it or work with Exeter TV to record it. But it's something that I think Exeter, especially, it cuts down our carbon emissions because it's all electric. It actually, statistics show out of Illinois that it's actually cutting down on workers' comp because now you don't have the constant vibrating. And it actually has more torque than your standard mowers because it's electric. If anyone's passed a Tesla and know how fast they can go, think of it as a mower. So, I mean, these are it's not your typical mower blade where you see it almost looks like little box cutter blades.
How are they charged?
They have a station that goes back to.
So kind of like the Roomba, like
It is
sits
exactly
back in
a
and goes
Roomba.
back in. Wow.
Trailered? I mean, how do you get it from place to place?
The Siennas, I can't pronounce it right. They actually stay there, so they're stationary. The next mow, that's another one if you want to write down, are the ones you trailer, and they actually work together. They can go up to 4 mowers working together on one property, so they talk to each other.
So, quick question. I think it's a great idea. I'm assuming the most mowing is the rec park.
Yes, followed by Brickyard.
So, to Dan's point, my initial thought is that's great, but you got to drive it around. Somebody's got to take it somewhere. But it seems like a great idea if you get one, the biggest one they have or whatever, the best one, at the rec park permanently. That's where it charges. That's where it lives, and the more mobile ones or whatever.
That's why we're leading for just a test pilot of doing the 2 stationary ones at Brickyard and Rec Park. If we can find it in our budget, maybe 2 Nexmos, and that way we could drop them off at Park Street, let it mow, go back, or we trim while they're mowing. And same with Gilman. But at the same time, we do want to rely on some contractors, but we definitely are going to be looking as a department to go more electric for all of our tools. Because the stat he told me was a typical backpack blower. You start a backpack blower and you use a full tank of gas, it's the equivalent of driving a V8 2,800 miles.
Well, and the storage.
The storage.
Of gas and the labor of mixing the oil and the mess and I think that's awesome.
So that's where we're going. That's the future.
They do cemeteries?
They do. It's a very big application for cemeteries as well.
Imagine, yeah.
And to tell you how theft-proof it is, it does have an alarm, a very loud, audible alarm that will continue to go off until the user disables it. So Joe, the owner, had one stolen in Michigan at Michigan State. And the police GPS'd it to the guy's house. They get out of the car and they can hear the alarm going off in the trunk of the car. And they get a search warrant. They go in and they found over $100,000 of landscaping equipment stolen from Michigan State. So the guy picked the wrong piece of equipment to steal and ended up catching a big thief from Michigan State. So it is and they've tried everything to disable the alarms, to disable the GPS. It's so buried you can never find it unless you smash it to bits. But then
useless.
why would you steal it if you're just going to smash it?
Very cool.
Wow, very cool. Awesome.
All right, that's it.
All right, guys. Why don't we rewind back to A and talk field rental usage agreement?
I'm going to give David Tovia kudos. He took this bull by the horns and hand typed everything out. We have quite a few discussion items here. We'll try to make it brief, but we want your feedback on some stuff. I believe they're all highlighted in their packets.
Yeah, so you should have 4 different documents. First one, Exeter Parks and Recreation Field Use Application. Another one, Exeter Parks and Recreation Annual Verification of Field Allocation Eligibility Form. That's a mouthful. Field rental fees, just a small spreadsheet. And then the big one, Exeter Parks and Rec Department, Field Allocation Policies and Procedures. If anyone has any questions, I think the big one is probably where we have the most questions on. I believe they're highlighted, so we could kind of just work our way down. But I want to give anyone the opportunity if they had any questions off the start.
Before we dig into your highlighted sections, so just is this large packet and other items going to be what every single person or organization has to, let's say, print or download to be able to use a facility or a field?
I can answer.
Is there going to be a truncated version?
The policy will live in the cloud, so people can download it if they want. That's really, it's going to be out there and about, and we're going to go to the select board, obviously, to approve it. The verification form will need to be done every year because we know for anyone that's sitting on planning boards, you change your bylaws, you vote on different things. So we want to make sure that there's stuff that we know about. One of the things that we are going to be really pushing home is that background checks every year.
Yeah.
So that's something we want to make sure. And then the application form really is going to be every time you apply. So we haven't figured, we like to do all reservations with paper forms for a paper trail. Even though we do have capabilities to do it online, it's just too cumbersome. We want to make sure everyone checks the boxes. But no one is going to have to print out.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, if someone is at home and this is all one thing, and they go hit the download button and they hit print on their printer. And then they go to return it to you, or you go to print what they've then sent back to you. That's just a lot.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So
we don't want the whole policies and procedures back.
I mean, I get having it somewhere. I just didn't know if this would be.
So this is like the HIPAA at the doctors that you have to sign on the invisible form, but you've read it and you're held liable to what it says, kind of thing.
And that way we do have a leg to stand on if we have to go back.
Of course.
Like, hey, you said you read this, and this is a policy. This is what we want you to abide by.
Yeah, just going off what everyone was saying, the big one is really like our policies and rules and procedures. So I think maybe adding on to the field application, maybe something that says that you acknowledge everything and you agree to those, and that way they don't have to print it, they just need to read through it.
That they've checked the box and initialed it or something that says they agree, they have reviewed these rules. Because this has got some heft to it.
It does.
This is a lot of work. Good job, you guys.
We read through it quite a bit. Melissa Roy, assistant town manager, also read through it and gave us some good feedback. We made some edits. But there's certain things that we want your feedback from, fees being one of them. We know it's going to be burdensome sometimes for organizations to pay fees, but as we just talked about field allocation and maintenance costs, how can we, the town budget is, again, very tight. How can we help keep and maintain those fields if it's a way like baseball does and they do in-kind service, or if it's a dollar for dollar. This is something we want to throw out to you to see what you guys' thoughts are. It's not going to break anyone's bank, honestly, these fees. We figured it out for instance, the Seacoast Flag Football, who currently rents our facility at Brickyard for fall. It would make an adjustment of about $500 for them. But that's they're a tier 3 or 4.
They would probably fall under tier 4 because I believe they are a private for-profit.
Yeah.
They're not considered like a nonprofit, and
they're located out in Massachusetts.
These are extremely affordable rates.
I have a question under Tier 4, open for discussion for sure. I was thinking about this last meeting. When I think about all-star teams, and I think of baseball because that's the one that I know of that has all-star teams in the town, I rethought about this one, and I don't know what people's thoughts are on that. I find that to be different than advanced elite or travel teams because it's coming off of a pre-existing league and the kids aren't trying out, they're being nominated by their coaches, so it's really an expansion of the current season. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking about that afterwards because it's a little different than when you look at kids trying out, being cut and being selected on an advanced league where these kids are being nominated by coaches and it's almost like a pseudo little drafting process, but these kids aren't going and trying out for this. They're being nominated for an extension of what they've already participated in.
Are their parents then paying an additional fee?
Just for uniforms.
Not for another program?
No, they're not paying for All-Stars. So it's an extension of it. I mean, they're paying obviously for the umpires and things like that, and they're buying new uniforms for the kids for All-Stars. But I was thinking about that afterwards because I tend to not want to put them into an advanced elite with a fee type structure.
So
and I wanted your thoughts on that.
It would just be where on the second page where it says examples. I mean, the language is pretty clear between the two, as Stephanie said. Like what we have in this town for all-star teams matches the language for tier 3. So it would just be removing where it says examples. And not all players can participate all-star teams. I would just strike all-star teams from that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In town, our all-star teams are tier 3, essentially.
That's what I thought, and then, because then...
Part of nonprofits.
Yeah.
Section of the regular season. Volunteer board.
Under tier 4.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts? Yes, strike it from tier 4.
Okay.
Do we all agree? What are your thoughts on that? Because I was thinking about that a lot afterwards too, because even though it is considered, yes, an elite group of kids, but they've come from a current season and it's an honor and they're nominated.
Yep.
And a lot of those kids aren't nominated necessarily for skill sets. A lot of them are nominated for their attitudes and for what they bring to the sport as well. So I just wanted to bring that one up.
And while I agree with you, I think the difference too is that the program isn't getting another chunk of money
Right.
from a family that would then support field fees.
Correct.
Exactly.
Right. So it's not like an easy transfer. We can take a portion of this. It's not an extra. The money that they're giving is for tangible uniform.
I just want to make sure I'm on the same page here. So the tier 4 pricing could potentially be a barrier to participation for these all-star teams.
It could be a barrier, but I also think that when you put a tier 4 pricing into this, you're going to have to charge and there's going to have to be a fee for these kids to get an honor like that. And it's like, going into a travel or a tryout type situation that you're going to be paying for it. But for All-Star, your kids are honored. Oh, by the way, now you have to pay for it though now.
Exactly.
And that's kind of, it's a little bit of a different situation than, a Hawks or, Extreme or those types of teams where you're paying extra for it.
Well, and that's a similar conversation we had where resident versus non-resident, where we wholeheartedly believe that the SAU 16 neighboring towns are what make EJBSL and softball special. So without them, Mike and Dan, do you have enough kids to even have an Exeter only team? And then who do you play? No, you don't play anyone. So we changed the wording, and I believe they have to be part of the SAU 95%. So it's definitely we are cognizant of the local culture. So we're not going to exclude them, unless suddenly EJBSL is bringing in ringers from area towns to play that drives it under the 95% dial.
You could also, you could also, in general, throughout this document, anytime you go to put an example, you could use language that says, examples include but not limited to, so that you're offering examples, but could
That's a good suggestion.
change your mind. Something new could evolve, and you're not locking yourself into these are the only examples we were talking about.
Yep.
You're being vague enough.
My note on this
That's a good way to make it sound.
was that the Tier 2
as well, in a little way.
recreational non-town sponsored, which would be EJBSL.
Yep.
The highlighted note, if they offer advanced elite teams, I would propose, rather than go to Tier 4, that would go to Tier 3 pricing.
Yeah, that was actually an older note that I should have adjusted more, because I don't think that would ever happen. And before, we only had 3 tiers, and then
We created a 4th.
we were speaking with Melissa Roy about this too, and it came to light that we needed to add a 4th tier because of the examples we were just talking about.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess that would probably say Tier 3. And it would change from advanced elite to travel teams or whatever we want to call
Yep.
Tier 3.
Which one was this that we were talking about? Sorry about that.
So the bold note under Tier 2.
On the
The last bullet.
on page 2 of the field allocation policies and procedures.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be better suited
Which is,
underneath.
just to edit item 2, you'll want to page number this document.
Yeah, this is only a rough draft.
Get it.
We
I totally
have a
get
whole
it.
format
Yeah,
we're going to do that has a cover page and
Yeah.
a table of contents.
Of course.
And I think this is, you did a great job on this, Dave.
Very detailed and not messy at all.
And I sometimes get myself in trouble
We won't get
between
you.
this board and EJBSL. But I think this is great. And the other feedback I would have is for Tier 4, I would increase the rates across the board.
I'm with you. I really do think these rates were extremely affordable in general, which I support. I want athletics to be accessible and the leagues to be able to afford to use them. But I think you're right.
Well,
That the Tier 4 level,
I'll use an example, EJBSL. To play in our league, it costs $150 per player. We pay, what do we pay now, 65 a game?
65 and 50 for junior.
If you're going to play for some of the Seacoast teams, you're going to pay $5,000 per player. That's all great. But the costs of everything are through the roof. Your costs are through the roof, Greg.
Yep.
Upkeep. The cost of field equipment, field supplies. I don't think we should be shy about charging accordingly.
Yeah, I don't disagree, because especially where we were over this last year. And I know where the thought might be, because we haven't reassessed this in 20 years, it seemed like a huge increase, but we're really level setting with the rest of the towns from what we looked at. Because we were looking at, I think Northampton was 150 or 100 to 150, and I mean, it was extremely high.
It was pricey.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're looking at surrounding towns that don't have the caliber of the facility that we have, because we offer a lot more too, I would definitely agree with that. I think Tier 4 could definitely have an increase, and while we're on that discussion too, I think that we could increase tournaments per day as well. Because this is what we were currently asking with 750. I think we could go up to at
No,
least.
we're offering 750 for the whole weekend.
I think that you might even be able to do 1,000 a day, if not possibly more.
Just looking at the Tier 4 at the top of my head, I mean, I think 1,000 a day for all the rec park events. And Tier 4, $100 for an hour and a half all the way. I think Gilman Park, I would not raise the price for Gilman Park or Park Street Common.
Yeah, and if you notice, local, we're very,
It's low use.
yeah, very low use.
And Gilman Park's my favorite field in town. I love it. But it's just little.
It also allows the private coaching folks to go to these smaller parks, because that is an affordable rate if you are doing this like private coaching, that then does make it affordable for some
And
kiddos to
Brickyard,
get access.
I'm on the fence of Brickyard because I don't know, not that I want to penalize flag football because they're very successful, but they're also very profitable. I just think we should not be shy about, we don't have to charge the market rate quote. I think we should be affordable, but we should try and cover costs.
Right.
And I don't think these rates will cover costs.
You could also baby step it and put an end date to these rates, saying these are the rates from now until a certain date, and everyone can now start budgeting. And starting in 2025, you could say we're always committed to keeping, like Tier 2 affordable or whatever, but people can expect 3 and 4 to increase. And
I think Caroline made a suggestion last.
Yeah, the percentage, I love that.
The percentage.
Was it 3% every year expectation?
For like a Tier 3 or 4.
yeah.
And that was we did 3% every year for external users, and then every 3 years we would review internal rates, and it had to be approved by like a bunch of higher ups.
And I think it's super important that we keep Tier 1 as low cost as we can.
Correct.
Well, Tier 1 is us, so.
But I think,
Tier 2 is.
that's our goal, that's our mission. As a rec board, as a town. And we can't lose sight of the fact that the groups that can pay a little more, we should charge a little more so that we always can keep our mission in view of.
I would include even Tier 2 in that.
And I agree with that.
Just because Tier 2 is basically sports that don't overlap with the rec, right?
Right.
So essentially, we're talking baseball, softball.
Yeah.
Well, you
Soccer.
age out of our programs really young too. So by 8 years old, you can't participate in youth sports. Well, basketball, but not
outside of basketball.
outside of
And if it's a schedule, private groups can start planning. If they need to increase their fee by 3%, because they know they're going to have to be paying for field space, it's all very transparent.
Yeah. I would less $5 off of Tier 2 and add $25 to Tier 4. Because I think Tier 2 is essentially the rec, but not.
Yep.
And then I might give some consideration to programs that, like I just know, for example, because the way softball does their travel teams, they try out in the spring versus like for the next season. So those teams have already formed and they've already paid their fee, and that budget was set prior to these rate increases. So I think probably like working with Christine on that is probably in order.
And I think too, something to the effect of fees are subject to adjustment, but I think putting in there that certain time frame prior to a season, you'd be notified. So it's not like it's going to creep up, the season hits, and then boom, all of a sudden we've increased. It could be like, for example, soccer season's coming up. Well, 90 days or 60 days prior warning if a fee would increase or something like that, to be able to give them prior warning if they're gonna increase that, so it doesn't just hit them as they come in. But I think those are all really fair, just based on what you guys have seen and what we've seen as far as coming in and having to get rental space. We were selling ourselves short as far as what we have to upkeep, and we're also selling ourselves short when we look at other towns as to how we're supporting ourselves.
So do we need to be voting on any of these, or could we make adjustments and then we're coming back next meeting to present this again for like a final?
I would imagine, when are you presenting this?
I think it would be super, I mean, you guys know who rented your field on the last calendar year. I would just say, if we had had this in place for this current season, what would the revenue have looked like at each tier?
That's a great idea.
Yeah,
Because if tier 2 and tier 4 are essentially the same, taking $5 off of there and adding 25 there could really make a big difference.
I can tell you, tournament-wise,
Yeah.
thousands.
Exactly.
So Dan, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think running those numbers and seeing what the revenue would have looked like, I mean, it's a ton of work, and I know. But that
we could give a ballpark.
That could tell you how much play you have in what's the difference between 20 and 25 versus what's the difference in 75 to 100. In terms of the hours that those leagues spent on the fields.
To your question though, David, I think personally, taking this feedback, doing some fine tuning in this document, bring it back and vote. I think it's too much on everybody to vote on this
we just sent it out today.
No, I
you
think
got to
that's-
absorb it.
When do you need to
times.
present this to the select board?
So if we do the October meeting, hopefully in November.
November, right, for budget?
Yep.
So we can definitely.
Yeah.
I think this is fantastic.
It is fantastic.
And we'll reformat it into the format that you would see online.
Seeing the final version would be great.
With the
And as a
cover
biased
page and-
person, to Steph's point of the recreation tier 2 non-town sponsored, I think it's a very important point that our all-star teams, once you're on an all-star team, it's not a no-cut policy, you're on the team.
Right.
But
you're not trying out.
But you're not trying
nominated.
out. And
it's a difference.
to our league, to our point, I think, first of all, nobody has to pay if they can't. But I think it's, what is it?
It's like $35, yeah, for uniforms, if that,
It's
yeah.
$100. If you make the all-star team, great, you made the all-star team, you owe us $100. Well, that's to cover uniforms and additional umps.
Tournament fees for this.
And tournament fees. But we also.
We lose money on all
It's no
We
profit,
lose money, and if somebody doesn't have the money to pay, we pay.
We'll cover, absolutely.
On the first page, on the second paragraph, it says Exeter Parks and Rec reserves the right to make any decisions regarding sports programs that are in the best interest and the best interest of the residents of Exeter. I don't know if there's another statement with further or anywhere else in this document that again gives you overarching authority to abide by or make exception to or adjust any of these based on the best interest of the rec department or the town of Exeter. And so I would put this into its own little paragraph. I would also take out the word sports and I would make it programming. It doesn't have to be sports specific. And I would echo this sentiment if needed. You may already have somewhere else so that again, the rec department or the town of Exeter can supersede this document based on what you know needs to be done.
If you read through, there's actually an appeal process that we are still battling through, I think, or did we take it out?
No, it's there. That's where I was going next.
Because it's like, all right, what if someone like, oh, wait, I don't want to pay this, so I'm going to appeal. The example we borrowed this from was Keene, and it's interesting. They used the town assessor, the economic developer, and I forget, someone else. No Parks and Rec staff was involved in the appeals board, and then the appeals board gave the Parks and Rec director there you go, there's our decision. So it was non-biased, so we were trying to figure out who we should ask. We had thought about asking some other town staff, knowing that we don't want to burden them outside of their hours.
Why do people get a vote in appealing?
Because people are people these days.
Yeah.
These are our rules.
I know, it's unfortunate, isn't it?
Keen has experienced some appeals.
I bet. It's good to cover that. I mean,
Yeah.
we may not, but
We may never have her do it, so.
I'm worried by having such a robust appeals process
might give people the thought
might
to
give
appeal.
open a door. So and again, I'm just throwing these ideas out. You guys see what sticks. But if anyone, make it more like if anyone disagrees with a tier of service, please contact the rec director.
That might be a better way to do it, I agree.
And perhaps behind the scenes, this is a separate document
That you can address it to someone.
that you could have, but I'm just worried that this, I'm all for transparency too, but like this feels like some persnickety person could.
It gives them the
You should
idea.
come to a
the
youth
works.
baseball tournament. Try and write a document.
And Bryn, that's actually one of our biggest fears is like, all right, what if someone doesn't agree with the tier? That's why having it black and white in this document.
Yes.
If the shirt fits, that's it.
But if
Sorry.
they don't agree with the tier, on what premise are they coming
Yeah.
to you not agreeing? So I agree. If you put that in there, I think that it could potentially give somebody the small idea to say, hey, I'm going to appeal it. And I'm going to come and appeal, and they're going to fight it to the point they'll find some
I'm a
loophole.
for-profit rugby club here in town, and I have all SAU kids, but I want a tier 2.
Listen, that's up my wheelhouse.
I know,
I'm
I'm
the
a for-profit.
American Legion baseball program, but I have all Portsmouth High School students on my team. You know what I mean? Like they are going to want to be, the Portsmouth High School rate type thing. You know what I mean? It's those similar programs where they're like, I'm serving the residents of this community.
Legion's pretty well defined.
Yeah, and I think you do a nice job.
No, I know. I'm just
Cheers.
saying like some people are trying to.
They are
nitpick.
spelled
No,
out
I-
very
I
well.
agree.
I mean, they're black and white.
I think this is really well done.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you say at the very beginning, though, Greg, that there is like in-kind donation to service type things that those are side deals that can account for?
That's something that, as a board, we wanted to throw it out there because I know how well you guys work with other communities. Like, if it's a way, knowing that we have 2 park maintenance guys. So, in there outlines like what any work done needs to be approved by us, obviously. And if it's worthwhile, then
Yeah.
like it's going to benefit the facility rather than.
So baseball comes to you, says we're buying $1,000 worth of field mix for Gilman Park. Can that cost go towards
Yes.
our
Yes.
fees?
And
like
that's
we do
something
with Sawyer Park?
we're gonna write in there because we
that
want to
like
make
the-
sure like. if it-
Can you put some language to that in here for us to review? Again, just thinking through transparency, like what if, let's say, another group hears, oh, well, we know a guy who can run a tractor.
Right.
We put in
And so
sheds.
that guy's rate is that, so I just like, so that we would have language that say at the rec department's approval or per the discretion
Discretion.
of.
Yeah, per the
that,
discretion of-
Or
Department.
once approved by the rec board, like then it becomes a process. Of course, you can be like, yeah, these guys can totally do that. We know that, but anyone new coming, being like, well, we heard that Exeter baseball pays for the infield. We'll do that too. We'll do something in kind. You have maybe something to point to.
Yeah, but how do you? The one thing part of me is like, how do you antiquate cost?
That's what makes me a little bit nervous because we've had this happen in the past where it's been, well, we donated this, so we should be getting this knocked off or this kind of perk. And then it becomes oh, wait a second, I heard that group did this. And then this is where this becomes kind of null and void, just like I get nervous about that. I love the idea because I love the amount of support that we get outside from organizations like this, but then it becomes almost like a barter leverage system, and that makes me very nervous, because we've dealt with that in the last few seasons.
Yeah, I agree with that notion, Stephanie. I think we,
Keep it black and white, Mike.
I think we keep it black and white, and, you know, the field improvement projects that are done on SAU fields or rec fields, they're public. And they should remain separate projects, I think. You know,
This is why we brought everything to you.
Yeah.
yeah.
At the same time, you don't have the manpower to spread,
10 yards of.
yeah,
infield
70
mix.
yards
Yeah.
field mix.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Right.
That's a cost.
yeah.
I guess that's why I was back to my comment about putting in the, like, at the discretion of, you know, and for the best interest of the town. Like, that statement, you could make the executive decision or take it to the rec board, whatever you feel. That's, okay, we have been given the circumstance for which we can get this infield yardage, and it can be spread by Friday because of the resources available in the staff that is outside our parameters. That you could make these executive decisions, as long as it says it somewhere in here that you can make these executive
But I
decisions.
look at that as field maintenance issues, not field use.
Community service.
I think I'm a
To me,
little
this is,
confused.
to me, this is field use policy,
Yeah.
and it's completely separate.
Yeah, field use and maintenance are very different.
This
On
is field
this.
use policy.
Yeah, they're
in
totally
my-
different.
In my mind. The field maintenance and costs of trying to keep our fields for our kids to play ball on, whatever sport it is a totally separate item.
That is included. There's
my opinion.
a field maintenance guidelines, like raking the fields
Yeah.
and other things like that. So it does cover that.
Well, I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, David, though, but I think that's more to, you agree to understand that we have rules for using our fields,
Right.
which is tied to
field
field
rules.
use.
Right.
Yeah. Field
Like,
use.
if you're gonna have your league play on our field, you have to understand that you can't do X, Y, and Z, and you're
Right.
expected to do A, B, and C. Which is still
Yes.
field use, not field maintenance.
And that's where the video and the
Set.
sign off that you had talked.
So are
about
we
comes into play.
saying by once this is adopted, we would never trade service or product to help augment a field from a user group in lieu of fee rental?
I think
I would
that's
say
my
that-
question and where I'm confused, because when
Yeah.
you say like in-kind donation, to me, that means you get nothing in return. You are donating
A
it.
donation should be
It's
a
a donation. You get
I would-
absolutely nothing in return. It's technically
Yeah,
tax deductible.
I'm pretty strong on
But
my
if you
thoughts on
get
that.
something in return, like if we're talking about trade for service,
Yeah.
that's a very, very different thing. And I would think it would almost needs like a sales receipt, like we accept X in return for X.
Donation.
And that's what we did, like, for example, with Sawyer Park. We, like, here's the receipts for the dirt, here's the receipts for the man hours, right? And yes, there were like volunteer hours, but we agreed on like the rate, basically, for like recutting that infield. That number got totaled up, that got deducted from our field usage fees. But it did have to be like documented.
Right.
So that's different than in-kind, for sure.
Right, because then you couldn't go back and go, well, you know, we maintained all the fields, so I expect you to give me priority at
Yeah.
this park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think it's two separate issues.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
this is field use. And to your point, I don't think there's anything about what you donate or what you did or what you volunteered that has any impact on this,
I
in my
agree.
opinion.
Because we always accept community service.
Right.
We love
and-
people to volunteer.
But it doesn't
based
get you
on-
a reduced rate if you're tier 14
Yeah.
Right.
for field use.
Donation needs to be donation. We've had that
We can keep-
happen.
We can keep it like that 100%.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
Brent.
my opinion, but yeah.
No,
Do you have something?
I would agree too. I think a black and white setup versus it won't put you in a position a month or 2 months down the road when somebody else comes in, as Stephanie was saying, well, X, Y did this, and we can do that. I agree. This need to be kind of this is our policy. If you want to do extra, well then,
That's on you.
we can take a look at it. That's.
Under section 7, field maintenance guidelines, Brent, I think number 6 and number 11 are both what you were talking about. So 6 just says structures or improvements of any kind cannot be built or installed without prior approval from the town of Exeter. Number 11, all field improvements must be approved in advance by Parks and Recreation.
I think we should add just a line that says like, any improvements made to the park won't increase your chance of whatever.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
right.
Like it won't impact
Doesn't prioritize your
yes.
Yeah.
reservation or rental.
Right.
Right.
Have we, and I combed through this, I didn't read it word for word. Did we also put in there under field maintenance guidelines that any maintenance changes or anything has to go through Parks and Rec before done?
Yes. And that
Okay.
Parks and Rec and all of its programming needs access to any and all equipment at all times.
Locks, not to be changed.
Yeah. So having that word access gives us you can't change
Okay.
anything. And
Okay, that's great. And then, because you may have somebody that may think that something's a great idea on a field without running, and there's a reason why you haven't done it for,
Yep.
Are there any fields that are under video surveillance?
not yet.
I was just curious in that being, again, just transparent, like when the time comes, because you'll have to put signage too, but you might want to, down the road, designate certain fields are under certain
Yep.
video surveillance.
You sure you don't want to change number 3, that mowing of town park fields is not permitted? Joking.
Feel free to bring your weed whacker to any practice.
I've done a lot of it, believe me.
you know, so it's going to over-edge those fields. We've had that, and then we have to resod them. This looks much better. Well,
I
you
should
just,
stop my side comments. But especially this summer, mowing's been a challenge.
If you lose a field due to weather, I know there's no refund, but do you get to reschedule?
that's a good question.
All depends on what for instance, a tournament.
Yeah, we lost a whole day, and
Yeah.
we weren't able to. but-
No, it's
I think that's number 7.
like you
Town
buy,
reserves the right.
you buy a Taylor Swift concert ticket and it's pouring rain out and you don't decide not to go because it's pouring rain. One, you probably could have sold it for thousands, but 2, you're not getting a refund for it. Like,
Yeah, but
Surprised it wasn't
deciding not to go is different than Taylor Swift canceling.
Right,
Correct.
right.
Right? So
Yeah.
if we can't, if the rep cancels, says fields are unplayable,
Yep.
do those time slots get moved forward?
If it's available, like let's say there is a tournament and they lose a whole day,
Right.
but you're having teams travel from Vermont and
That was us,
Western
yeah.
Massachusetts. Most likely, if you reschedule it for the following Sunday, it's not they're not gonna travel 3 hours just for maybe 1 or 2 games. Or maybe they
So-
will. I don't know.
To Dan's point, maybe on number 7, we add under there, the town reserves the right to cancel any field rentals due to inclement weather or unsafe playing conditions. Parks and Rec will do the best to reschedule based on availability, and discussions with the group or something, because I think it's good
availability,
for.
yeah.
Yeah, because it is a question, because we did lose a whole day, and to your point, they weren't going to come back from Vermont and Western Mass, and we ended up working it out the next day, but that was a full day. That would have been a great discussion.
A little bit further down, section 10, cancellation, kind of says what you were just saying, that we'll make good faith efforts to provide advance notice and reschedule and.
We even put in there a refund policy, like if they want to cancel a tournament and it's within 21 days of the tournament, there's no refund. Except because who's going to cancel a tournament within 21 days unless you...
Yeah.
Right.
So I think we still need to add it under 7 because they're talking 2 different things. Number 7 is talking inclement weather, and number 10 is talking conflict of leagues, maintenance, needs issues, overuse of a field, unsafe conditions, I guess, could be weather, violations of these policies. So they're two separate ones, so maybe just adding that little blip in there might be.
I think David was referring to X.
Right, that's 10.
Cancellations.
Yeah, that's 10. So cancellations there, but it's not due to weather, whereas over here it mentions weather.
Gotcha.
So just, I think in good faith, just mentioning that, because it's a good question, let them know that you'll do everything possible, but it may not be possible given scheduling, overlap, things of that nature.
Yeah.
David, just as an editing thing, once you hit your section 6, the space has gone away. Up until that point, you have a space, like a new paragraph after.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a space
Section
after
6,
5,
conditions of-
you know what I mean? Up until 5, you have some space after your bullets, or sometimes you do and sometimes you don't, actually.
So your bold underlined headings.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
You're
Yep,
just, it's
yep.
just your
Some
formatting
right.
changes.
Okay.
Question about the reservation process. So I reserve my season. I get my invoice on the amount due. Do I have a time to review my invoice, make changes, and then after 14 days, that's set in stone, and now I have to abide by like the cancellation policy, or like what time, do I have a grace period to review and resubmit
Pull back.
changes, et cetera, or oops, I made a mistake, I forgot that was a holiday?
We hadn't thought of that one. So that's a good one. Right now, to rent a town facility, all payments are due in full within 30 days of the reservation
So I guess
being
it's the
approved.
30 days, kind of, but maybe if we're just,
Yeah.
you have, I don't know,
Payments and changes.
Yeah.
until your first
Okay.
payment, you can make adjustments to the
Yeah,
schedule.
it's in there. It's under how to reserve a field, number 6. New requests or changes for approved rentals will not be considered if submitted less than 5 days. So as long as you're not within the 5 days of your start time, you can still.
And I know, I'm sure you guys make adjustments to schedules all the time
Yeah.
based on like random stuff, but again, if people start being persnickety or your office is inundated,
But honestly,
Yeah.
Bryn, it's literally during the regular seasons like softball and soccer, it's a blanket reservation. They're like, we need 5 nights from 5 to 8. I don't really care who is practicing unless there's a clause in there like if, let's say.
You can't sublet your apartment.
Exactly. Don't go into a private league and say, hey, you pay us $75 and you can have our time.
So
we try to.
Shark Tank idea.
Yeah. we try not to. We want that. Don't want that because we will revoke the whole permit altogether.
No.
yeah.
Can we also add under 11, under additional supervision and security, proof of extra personnel required? I know we've had in the past where we've asked for either security or someone to do traffic and this and that. Yes, yeah, we'll do it, and they weren't there.
Yeah.
Is there a way for us to have them either sign off on something or have emails delivered to us like, yes, we've secured it, they will be here? Because
Yeah.
we're not there on the weekends
Yeah,
sometimes
no,
to see that.
that's something we always, at first in that paragraph, I think there was park personnel, we were like, I'm not paying my guys overtime to be there to empty trash. It's up to the renter's responsibility. That's why if you look in there, like, if you're renting, you should be picking up the trash from
Right.
the dugouts every day and throwing it into the trash receptacles. And if you're a tournament, empty the trash receptacles into the dumpster with and
I'm
not
thinking
supplying
more security,
yeah.
parking, details. Sometimes you need a detail that we've
Absolutely.
required where it's gotten crazy for tournaments.
and that's where
things.
all of them are now gonna, from
Yeah.
the pickleball tournament to any other tournament.
That should just be right on the field application.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's something we're gonna include, like, all right, here you go, police.
But
There's
proof that they've secured them.
Yeah, there's a tournament, they need to reach out to you for a police detail at the crosswalk at 10 Hampton Road, or
Right.
4 Hampton Road. And
But the
parking.
the responsibility is on the renter.
It is on the renter, and I think that needs to be, I think that
Yes.
almost from an insurance or security standpoint, Parks and Rec having that, because we're not around sometimes, and you guys aren't around on weekends when the tournaments are happening.
Oh, yeah.
And it's good to know, and you've seen it in writing, that they've got somebody that's going to be there just for peace of mind and safety, especially crossing that street. We know that corner and the crosswalks there, some tournaments need it. We just know that.
Our double signs did work out very well this year.
Yeah, they did.
People really.
Nobody
we
ran
could see
over them this
physically
year.
Slow right down, like, all right.
Nobody ran over them this year.
But we did space them far enough, but towards the end of the summer, someone decided to move them off the middle of the road. So I didn't move them back. But then someone did email us or call us saying, where did they go? Because she walks that path ever, and she liked having them there. So there's discussion to.
I know that this sounds silly, my friends, on this one, but it is a pet peeve, literal pet peeve of mine. We need to put in here somewhere that.
Dogs.
Yeah, animals, dogs. There was a Great Dane that took a lovely, yeah, and the owner didn't do a thing. At a soccer game the other day, and I was like, I'm going to put on my rec hat or I'm not, and I was just like, I was baffled that they wouldn't pick it up.
But aren't they prohibited already?
What's that?
Aren't dogs prohibited already?
They are, but that's not ever reiterated. In fact, I always send to Laura Sakel personally and from the rec saying, please reiterate to all the soccer leagues coming, do not, pets aren't allowed.
No pets, no grills.
No pets, no grills, that's a big one.
Going for tournaments.
Honestly, it sounds silly, but putting in no alcohol, we have coolers
there.
rolling in all the time.
No alcohol.
Yeah, so no
vaping.
grills.
No cigaretting of any kind.
But
I would
yeah,
include pets and
the
grills in that
dogs,
sentence.
I don't know if there is, let's say it's a tournament and there are dogs on the field. If we put language in here that says if there are dogs on the field from spectators of your tournament or families participating in your tournament, and someone reports it and calls the police, I mean, then you may jeopardize your ability to get a rental the following year.
Violations of this policy may result in immediate loss and revocation of existing field allocations.
Yeah.
Boom.
It's already a town reg, and
Yeah, it's there.
it's a problem outside.
I mean, it's just such a big problem. I wonder if the dog thing is worth.
It's just fresh in my mind, and I don't think I've ever been down there where there hasn't been one or two that have just been.
Yeah, we have pets are prohibited from town property under section 6. Conditions of field use, but we could change that.
I would.
No,
just
that's
make
okay,
it-
that's fine, I must
Other
have
than
moved over
service
that.
animals.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
just, I mean, what can you do?
I wouldn't even put other than service, because
It's-
somebody can call you on that one, but everybody's got their comfort animal
You
now,
can
and they
ask
can
for
say, it's my
documentation
comfort.
legally.
It's again.
It's my
I am
comfort,
so
Dane.
hardcore about service
Oh, yeah.
animals. I am the least kind about
No,
service
give me your ADA documentation on your service
animals.
animal.
Say that all the time to
Yeah.
people. And I
And they'll have it if it's actually a service animal.
It's my
They
service.
have it
I
if
think
they.
Bob has a question.
No,
Most of the time they have.
my
that
question is,
service.
are there signs around the
Oh, yeah.
campus there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There's several signs that says no dogs. You
They're,
have to
yeah,
walk by it.
they're
Oh,
ignored.
Maybe up by 10 Hampton though, because now that people
Yeah.
park there,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
That's
and
good
4
suggestion.
Hampton isn't the main entrance. Yeah.
There's signs at every field, SAU
Yeah.
fields, everywhere.
I know, but my dog's the exception. My dog's so well behaved.
Right, everyone thinks their dog
I
is
take better
sweet.
care of my
That's
dog.
why my dog's at home.
Everyone wants to see my yellow lab. at
He
the
only
game.
bites if you're wearing yellow.
I think the sponsorships.
Yeah, I was just on that too.
Yeah, I think, I wouldn't list who, like, you would not approve of.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Can you,
Unless there's like a general, I think, is there a policy in town, like, no
There's a
tobacco, alcohol sponsors?
Yeah.
There's like a third thing to that.
I was gonna ask for
Political.
clarification on that. Is that what this
I'll have
means?
to I'll pull up the sponsorship policy the town had adopted several years ago, where basically it's like no tobacco, no, I forget what.
There's like some euphemism
Yeah,
for like.
but I don't think you need to list it. I would just leave it. You must be approved.
Yeah.
Right, approved.
Yep.
That's it, they have to come to you. Yeah, I'm still on the appeal process too, because I'm with Brent on this. I think that this could open up a door of
Well, it's almost 9. I would encourage you guys to bring this home and read and take
Oh, God, the time just flew by on this one.
Did you guys have an example on that? Because I heard a couple earlier and.
For appeals?
For the appeals?
For the appeals, yeah, like.
So do
it
you know,
opens
like
up-
lower on the thing where it says D under part 15, the Parks and Rec Director and his designee shall have discretion to resolve conflicts? I think that's a statement that goes under appeals process.
I don't think appeals process should even be there. I think that the whole,
I wouldn't
that
have, I would
sentence
cut it out, but again.
should stay where you just read it from.
I would consider, like, what would be something that you would be willing to hear an appeal on? And then I might suggest, like, no appeals would be heard for determining tier level. Like, we'll hear an appeal on this, this, and this, but I would say tier levels are not subject to appeal.
You're always going to have somebody that might
Because
call
everyone,
you with
I
an
mean, we get
extreme
it wrong. I can
circumstance.
convince you anyone's a tier 1, you know, we just talk long enough.
Yeah.
You know, we'll just paper dump the whole thing and keep it in litigation forever.
Because again, at the end of the day, a policy is always something a person could discuss or argue or ask for clarification on anything. So I don't think you need to give a door. Or waste your time
I think-
going through this.
You're going to
I
get the
wouldn't
calls
change a
anyways,
thing.
I think, from people that
I
we
think
call.
this is sufficiently vague and complicated that it serves its function.
I say boom, boom on that. But I think that the rest looks amazing. So what do you guys say? We take a look at this, mark it up, and,
Send us your notes.
well, we should be careful on that one.
Individually, send it to me.
Make sure, because of 91A, you're sending them just to Greg. Don't copy the rest of the board in on those notes. They can implement and chat on these. The members who were not here this evening got a copy of these, so they can print them out and take a look at them. I'll send out an email after the meeting, just reminding everybody just to make sure they just send their suggestions, comments, or changes over to you. And then we can reconvene again before November.
I think we should have a very, very short window.
Yes.
On that.
Yeah, it's gotta be
Like,
submitted,
like-
yeah.
Like by Wednesday.
Yeah, getting changes in.
Yes. To be fair to
As in
David.
tomorrow?
No, like
he's
next
thinking-
Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
latest.
Like, we're pretty busy. I think 3 of us have all meetings.
Well, I
all day
mean, if we
tomorrow.
expect you to have something,
Yeah, because budget is
For
definitely
next
popping
month.
up. My old school hieroglyphics here. So we,
or you tell me.
No, by next week would be.
But yeah, if we get edits by next week, we'll be ready for next month's meeting.
so September.
One thing I wanted to ask real quick, we had talked about 3% increase. Was that for tiers 2, 3, and 4, or just, again, this could be like, you guys could think about this and write it down. We had talked about tournaments being 750 a day or up to 1,000 a day. Is that for tiers 2, 3, and 4? And then my last one was, how are tournaments defined as well?
I think all 3 of those things are good, like, bullet point edits for us to
Yeah.
mull over.
Take a look at.
Tournaments are defined by tier.
Well, I mean, I could invite, I'm just playing against some other teams that are also in my league and it's after the
Oh, yeah,
season,
yeah,
but,
yeah.
you know, like people can
Yeah.
argue on
Yeah.
it, saying
Right.
it's
Now
it's
people-
actually just
They're
a
doing
game.
mid-season
Yeah.
tournaments,
Yeah.
like, oh, we're gonna do a round-robin tournament this whole weekend. You could have 4 games in a weekend.
It's still wearing.
Yeah, I think it's the addition of money that a family pays in theory. So like if regular baseball has a tournament, but it's part of their regular season.
Yeah, it's the playoffs.
Then it's just regular
Yeah.
field fees. It's not a but yeah, so that's where the term
Fee
tournament.
charged,
Good
fee
point.
not charged type of thing.
Yeah, like this is I mean, we know what those are. They're those private tournaments that you are paying to participate in. So I don't know how to say that in your fancy words, David.
I'm gonna call Dan, because
When we were going through the document, we were like, we wish Dan was here. Really, we do.
One call away.
Yeah.
To your point though, Dan, we can make that suggestion.
So my question for you all, I think you were saying by Thursday, I'm thinking maybe by the 12th, October 12th, that'll give like 2 weeks of everybody kind of look at it. If that works for everybody, where edits get into Greg. And then I know in theory, the way that our meetings are set up, usually the last Tuesday of every month, that would put us on Halloween, so we don't want to be here on Halloween.
I was actually going to bring this up.
What does the
because
24th look like?
Exeter TV would like us to go to the fourth Tuesday of every month.
Instead?
Because
Oh,
it
that would
allows them, for scheduling wise and staffing, to be able to record all of these.
Okay, that would work well here. So that would put us at the 24th. That's what I was thinking, was
Yep.
Halloween wouldn't work anyways for a lot of us, most of us.
Don't you need those edits sooner than,
So if the
That-
edits come in by the 12th, then that'll give them a week and a half, 2 weeks to put the final touches on it. Would that be enough time for you guys?
Yeah.
To put the final touches on it for us to meet on the 24th, to take a look at it and give the final stamp and then make a motion to send it for select board approval? What do y'all think of that?
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Does that work? Okay, all right, so we'll plan on doing that. So I'll send out a message to have those in by
I'm
the 12th.
looking ahead, Steph.
What's that?
Looking ahead, November.
Yep.
If we go to the 4th, no, my bad, sorry. I was just looking, I saw that it was the 21st. But
That would be the
no.
21st.
28th, it would be in November. It would be-
Thanksgiving.
It was the
Right.
week after Thanksgiving.
Yes, it's no, it's the week of Thanksgiving.
The 28th of November?
21st, though, because they want to go to the 4th.
The fourth Tuesday. This is 28th.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I was going fourth week.
And then December is 26th, so we're not going to meet in December.
We skip December usually, right? We've
Yeah, we
always.
try to. Yeah.
So why don't I'll add that into the message too, just so people have dates to block off. So the 28th of November. And then when do you guys present for budget? It's November, but.
November 8th is when we present to the whole Budget Recommendations Committee.
Okay.
And then CIP is November 16th, I believe.
Okay. That sounds about right. I have
I
it.
got to double check. I know, I'm getting rotator cuff surgery in between, so.
I would mention
Yeah.
in the meeting
Left
schedule
one.
announcement that you
Yeah, I already
made
got
that
this
we're
one
meeting
done.
January 23rd, because there are 5 Tuesdays in January. So we're now meeting the 4th instead of
Okay.
Yeah.
the last, right? Is
Yeah.
that the language
Yeah.
change? So January is the first time we bump into that.
Okay, perfect. So I will mention that we're changing it
Yeah.
to the 4th.
And I totally
Tuesday.
understand, there's really only 4
It
Exeter TV
happens a
people.
few times of the year.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
not the 4th, but
Yeah.
it's going to happen in January.
Perfect. All right, so I will pop that out, and then we can get our changes by the 12th. We'll meet on the 24th for this one. 24th should really, I mean, we might have a few things, but maybe just even be this on the
Very
agenda.
small, yeah, very small,
just
so
this.
in and out. My goal is to have it under an hour and a half.
But with this being done,
Yeah.
This is a big deal, though, so
Yeah. This is- we had to get this
appreciate
right.
you guys putting so much information in front of us to be able to really understand what the big change.
Nobody took any notes tonight, so we're gonna have to be back here tomorrow.
Oh, yeah,
Jo-
Joanna wasn't here,
Joanna
so
is
you
gonna
know.
be doing this
It is
via
being
video.
recorded, though, so if she goes off this, fortunately.
I Joanna, and she said she couldn't make it tonight, but she'll take them off the minutes.
Open bar tomorrow night if we go back to do that.
can I make one quick statement before I
Sure.
make a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
If the rec department or your softball folks, Stephanie, have any gear they would like to donate to the Boston Red Sox Foundation, please quickly send me a list
Yes.
of what you have.
Okay, I will send that out. Use
And
new.
photos would be even better.
Okay, I
need them
have
both.
2 full buckets of 10 U balls for you that are brand new.
Well,
that
it's not for us, we are giving some donations.
Right, no, I'm saying I'll give them to you to send them.
But send them to me if you have something, so I can,
Do you have an email or something, like a flyer or something made up that I can send out, like a?
just, you have my email address,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Just send it to me.
Okay, perfect.
And before you make a motion to adjourn, there's one thing under new business that David and I want to bring up. We are looking and possibly, we played music at the pool currently. We're looking at a possible revenue stream of Neptune Radio. And it literally, you pick the genre and it's family-friendly music, but then it's like, you're listening to Exeter Parks and Recreation Radio. And we can sell advertisements to sponsors in there.
Can you do guest DJ spots?
I don't know if we can do guest DJ spots.
Requests?
Yeah.
Can people then put a
This
request?
one's going out
It's
too.
a pre-recorded thing, but it's
What
like,
if
oh.
for $5 you could make a request to say someone's happy birthday or something?
I don't know how user-friendly that is, but I know they will make up a bunch of ads for us, and that could be a nice revenue stream, because we talked about when we eventually do Planet Playground, or renovate Planet Playground, also having piped-in music around there that will shut off at night, obviously.
The
awesome.
piped-in music, can I just ask about safety in the pool and being able to be heard, like
Yeah,
lifeguards
it's,
heard?
it's not gonna be,
ambient,
it's not gonna
it's
be
not like-
super loud, yeah,
okay.
no. And David, thank you for texting me. We do have a contract with JSA. We're hopefully doing a walkthrough this week.
Yay.
It took a while to get a contract finalized, but we're good to go. And so that process is starting this week, hopefully.
Great job on that.
Yep.
I'm also Hampton Road.
10 Hampton Road.
Just wondering about a
Temporary service
future
when I'm
construction contract before the new year.
Yeah.
Just looking at future meetings.
Yeah, we may pull some of you in to
Sit with different,
contractors.
we'll
During the day.
hopefully be getting a
We've
lot of
done that
bids
before.
for the construction at 10
Yep.
Hampton. And
Those are fun. I'm happy to do that. It's really fun.
And that's it. We got
Awesome,
a lot
guys.
we threw a lot at you.
So thank you guys
move to
for
adjourn the
everything. Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second? Finito, adjourned.
Thank you for
Anyone
tuning in to
vote?
Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.